there?
It's like twice in 1 week.
Right. Not bad. Well, did you gain value from that call that we had the other day?
Yeah, I did. Sorry, I'll just shut that up. Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. I love hearing like Amir's wisdom anyway, because it's stuff I don't know. And then I loved hearing like the mindset stuff from your point of view, like all put in a different way. So yeah, that was really good. And I liked the, would you take $1 million, dollars? If I gave you $1 million now, would you take it? And I was thinking, yeah, no, I wouldn't. There's something here. But it's just how you then sort of put that, like every day you're here is worth, $1 million to you. And that was a really good way of putting it. So sorry, I had to leave and miss out on the rest, but I've got it to catch up on. So that's good.
No, that's awesome. No, I appreciate you being on there because it's always a longer call than I expect because it's like it's the conversations always be so good that it just keeps going, and
Yeah.
so it's like that's why I found the complicated part because it's
Yes.
like there's so many great people on here where you meet like-minded individuals and you have that conversation and it's like wow, like this is amazing. It's like you should I should have known you my whole life type of thing.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, so those things are really cool. And I wasn't sure, when Amir had said it's like 2 hours long, I was like, oh. But because a lot of people couldn't make it till like the second half, I could see sort of now that there was a sort of a benefit in that, but and I liked that it was 2 very different parts as well, so Amir on his sort of tips and tricks and everything to do with the school leaderboards and so on. And then yours is like where everyone needs to be working on first, in my opinion. But you can't have, everything expecting to work on the outside until you've done, like the inside work. And yeah, so, but you and I know that. We just have to educate the world on that one.
For sure, and that's why when I'm looking at your bio right here, it's self-confessed self-helper, shelf-helper. I help you live the wisdom and self-help books, not just read it, which is very important because a lot of people read stuff, but they don't understand it. And
Yep.
so they're like, okay, but yeah, I read it. No big deal. Like I read that book. I know what the Bible says. I already read it. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, you don't know it for yourself. Right.
Exactly.
And that's the most important part is knowing it for yourself and how you see it. And
Yeah.
that's why I love seeing different perspectives. Like you were saying, it's like seeing different point of views makes it so it's like, wow, interesting. I didn't think about it like that. And you get to see all these different realities, and it's like they all exist all at the same time. It's just you gotta tap into that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it blows my mind every time, like another onion sort of layer is peeled off, when you get that sort of, you've read something. So like you've read this book. Yeah, I've read it. Yeah. Yes. It's really good. Really good. So what did you get out of it? Oh, it's just, like when you did blah, blah, blah. Right. So how have you put that into, well, I haven't read it for a while. So, and it's gone. And, like Bob Proctor says, there's only way that you're going to change yourself inside is by repetition. So let's read it again, read it again, and read it again, or by basically a shock, something like 9/11. That's the only way that you change something within yourself. And I thought, wow, that is so true. And I've experienced all of that recently. We've had a sudden impact, and just like that, you change that habit that's you've been hanging on to or thinking, oh yeah, I'll stop that, or I'll change that. Or the other way, it's like reading and reading. And at the moment, because I picked up a book the other day, because I do like an intuitive reading thing. So I just sort of feel guided to pick a book and then just sort of meditate for a few moments. It's sort of a bit like asking the author to sort of direct me to it. And I got a book off the shelf. I think it's I might have put her back. Oh no, it's Florence Scovel Shin, and she's really good. I mean, she goes sort of way back in this century, and the section I read, it was just like, I really need to listen to this again and again and again and again. So every time I'm going out for my morning walk now, headphones are on and I'm listening to her book.
Right.
Because it's just, she just has a very, very different way. And she, talks about, the divine purpose, and what our divine rights that we have, and divine power. And it's just sort of like, yeah. And she has it so simply put, and she gives these lovely stories about a woman comes to her and asks her to speak the words. So she, has this very, I suppose, intuitive knack of knowing the exact words that these people need to hear, but also be saying to themselves. So,
Right.
so it's, so I like finding those nuggets and cutting out the fluff, because obviously in books there's a lot of fluff. That the stories are great, don't get me wrong, her stories are brilliant, Bob Proctor's stories are brilliant,
Right.
but authors have to pad it out, to make the book. And so I like to get to the point and to make it simple so that people can understand it and then put it straight into practice, because otherwise what's the point?
So you basically extract the frameworks out of the book, and then you grab the frameworks and pass that on to everybody else.
Find those nuggets, and then work out a way that they can implement it straight away. Because if they don't implement it, if they don't, sink it into the subconscious mind, as you know, and then take action on it, so that the subconscious goes, right, now this is what we're doing, so this is it, right, I've got it, I'm doing it, so that you can just accept that you now have that and you can carry on. And it's such a simple process.
Simple is not easy for
Easy.
most, because it's too simple. That's like, okay, whoa. You're telling me that you're going to give me this one piece of paper, and this one piece of paper is going to change my life? Yes. I just got to follow this one piece of paper. Yes. No. It can't be. It can't be that simple. And it's like, no, it literally is. You just follow this document. You saying you want to lose weight. Okay, so just follow this diet plan and you'll lose the weight. No. Like, it has to be more than that, because it took me like years to get here. But it's very simple most of the times. But the execution and the focus on that's the complicated part, right? And that's where it stems from the mind. And so the mind is like literally what gives you the power to do it or to not do it. And sometimes it's because of the training that you had, the programming that you had before, that causes you to do that as well.
We're programmed that life is hard. Do you
Right.
know? We're not programmed to understand, that at birth, we were given absolutely everything we ever needed to be successful in life. And as you know, the state of the world is not good. And I try and stay out of, the matrix as much as possible now, having really been in the core of it as well. And the programming that we are continuously having every day,
Right.
people don't realize. And because of that program, about all of the systems, that we operate by, with government, health, education, and so on, we are told that life is hard. Everything out there is hard.
Right.
And when you do break it down to the simplicity of it, life is not hard. Everything else is making it complicated, because you can have it, like your simple life in here, and you then become the observer and you become aware of everything out there, but you don't have to be taking part in it. You can still be living your simple life,
Right.
and following like the simple instructions, and forgetting about the complicated stuff that is programming us, and which is not us. That is all man-made. That is not, why we are here.
What's powerful is what you said is the being the observer, because really your battles are already won. So there's nothing that, like, it's already working out for your highest good. So
Yeah.
nothing that you're seeing is actually negative. And so it's like it's just depends on how you see it, because that's the catalyst that made you who you are today. And so, like, if we don't like that, then we gotta just switch the seeds that we're planting, change the books,
Yeah.
change the habits, right? And it's
Yeah.
not about removing them, it's about replacing. Because by
Yeah.
removing it, we leave a hole. By replacing it, we fill the hole.
That's
And
right.
that's the most important part, is not to just cut it clean, but replace it with an action that helps you move on with life.
Yeah. Because that's the law of vacuum, isn't it? So if you stop doing something negative that's not getting you forward, you have to, like say, replace it with a good. Otherwise, you're going to fill it with something not so good. You'll just go back to that old bad habit that's not getting you anywhere. So it's the law of sort of vacuum. The universe holds, like a hole or anything. There has to be that energy in there. There was something else I was going to say that I think it's gone now, but it'll come back to me.
One thing that I know is that we cast spells when we speak, because
Yes.
all the words that we speak are have abilities, if you will. And so it's like if I grab my water and I write hate, and so I'm drinking
Yes.
hate, that's going to
Yeah.
be a bad situation for me, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if I implement this in life and really think about it, sometimes we're speaking life to ones we love, and sometimes we're speaking death. We don't realize it. So
Yeah.
when we see situations where people use words like try is like open,
Try it.
like, oh, like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. If I don't do it though, at least I said I would attempt, is
Yeah.
what it is, right? And so I don't like the word try. I remove that now. But when you see it say but, that negates the everything you said before. So it's like if I go to my wife and I'm like, I love you so much, baby, but blank.
It just
It doesn't
knocks.
matter what it is. It doesn't matter what comes next. I just negated what I just said. So it's like these words we gotta be cautious with, and even words like impossible. It's like I love the word impossible, because
Yeah.
impossible, exactly, impossible. That's my favorite thing. And so breaking and really understanding where words come from, and how it looks, even blessings, is be less. So would I want Heather to be less Heather? No, I want her to be more Heather. So it's like bless you. It's like, and religion has that across the board. And then the indoctrination of the negativity, like you were saying, it's like, and the scriptures, a lot of religions, they speak down upon, the person. It's like, I'm such a worm as I. It's like I don't deserve, all this abundance that I'm getting. It's like, no, we were created here to never have anything such as lack. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as fear. All that is just a construct of what we build in our own minds, because somebody could be afraid of heights, and then somebody could be afraid of spiders. It's like, how does that happen? It's a different perspective on everything.
Yeah. Yeah. The trying thing is it's like the word should. They're like shoulding. But trying, Bob would always say, you either are doing it or you're not doing it. There is no try. There's no
Right.
such thing as trying, because you either are doing it and achieving it, or you're not doing it and you're giving up.
Right.
And then the other thing I was trying to remember was I had a conversation with somebody about now, I don't read the Bible. I've read bits years ago, but I'm not a Bible story person. I'm more fascinated by how the stories came about. But we were talking about the negativity and sin in the world. And I said, well, sin's just not a word that I relate to. Sin is a thing that's, to me, it's always related to religion, and lack of understanding of, what life is about. And I said, because at the end of the day, there really is no good or bad, because it's literally human minds that makes it so. Because if we didn't think of something as good or bad, then it isn't good or bad. It would just literally be. So this guy, he had a great big hissy fit about that. He just couldn't understand that it is our minds that make something good or bad, and what one person thinks is good, another person thinks is bad. But there's no right or wrong in that either.
Right. It's kind of like, I was a part of a boot camp, and so one of the speakers came on, and they either run a TEDx or they have something to do with like the infrastructure of TEDx, and they were saying how they were talking a little bit about their life story, and at one point to achieve a goal, he was like, I didn't want to do this, but to achieve this goal, I had to sell my soul. And I said, that's not, I wouldn't do that. I'm looking and I'm like, nobody caught that. Nobody, everybody ignored that part. That's why I
Yeah.
was like, I can't listen to this person anymore. And so, I'm sure he had golden nuggets though. And so what this made me think about, I was like, okay, maybe I should pay attention, because he might have some great advice on speaking in some kind of capacity, right? And so it made me think about, okay, so even the devil, I'm sure, has some good quotes. He says something that's like, wow, that's actually true. Even Hitler is like, in the eyes of the people that were with him, it was good.
Yep.
And if you look at the history, it was like there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than what meets the eyes of what we were taught, just surface level. And so if you actually do your research on history, it's like you could find out more of what actually happened. And
Yes.
so you could also see both perspectives. And I'm a big proponent on seeing both sides. And then if I can see both sides, right? If I have the ability to be like, okay, I could talk to this person and I could talk to this person to see the whole picture, cool, I'll do that. But
Yep.
if I don't have the opportunity, okay, like I have to do with just the one side of information I have, right? But so to get the overall picture. And so like if we don't have access to that, then it is what it is. But for the most part, a lot of history, we have access to all sides. So we could see it. And then we
Mhm.
could detect the pattern in it. And so we could see when it happens again.
Yes. Yep. And the other thing is, when you look at the atrocities that have happened throughout human history, and there's been a lot, and a lot more than you and I will ever know,
Right.
because it is history, and a lot of it is not written about, or like you say, there's only one side of the story. But we also have to remember is that every soul has their path and their journey to experience. And whatever their path and their journey has been was choice. It was the choice for them to experience that and to go through those opportunities in life. It was part of their journey. And so I strongly believe that, what right do I have then to question a soul's path and journey? I have no right. That is their path, and no more than somebody, should judge the path that I've been on or the path that I'm going on, because it is all part of my soul's journey. And, just to, like I say, observe and increase your awareness all the time, and always looking out for where you can help another soul on their journey and their path is far more important than standing there in judgment and criticizing and deciding whether it's good or bad. It's an interesting sort of point of view, and most people don't get it.
For sure. And that's why it's like it's hard to talk about these topics, because it's like most people, like for me, I like seeing both perspectives. So if you're disagreeing with me, I'm totally fine with that. Let me like learn something new about the other side. And it's like I should be able to articulate myself to argue both sides, not just my
Yes.
side. So
Yeah.
it's more so being able to go back and forth. And it's like if I could argue your side better than you can, you gotta go back to the drawing board, like, because I should know more than you on your argument. So
Yeah.
that's when it comes down to it. But it's also, like you said, everybody has their own journey, and so that's why I'm like, be careful what you wish for, because
Yes.
based on what you said, that's what has to become. So
Yeah.
maybe you have to be, homeless. Maybe you have to, experience financial difficulties. Maybe you
Yeah.
have to have health problems, and that's because you asked for it in some kind of capacity for what you wanted in life. You asked for these trials, and so that's why it's like, yeah, I asked for wisdom, and maybe I'm wise for being as young as I am. But that
Mm.
means I also had to have a lot of trials and tribulations to get me to this point as well. So it's like because of these experiences is what really creates the person that we become today. And because of that, it's like anytime I hear the question, hey, if you go back in the past, would you like change anything? I'm like, no, like
No.
that's not a good question for me, because it's just I can't do that. I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would you be if you hadn't had that journey and made those choices and had those experiences, whether they were uncomfortable or whether they were absolutely amazing?
Right.
Um, and yeah, the same for me. I would not be who I am right here, this moment, if I had not had literally all the shit that had been dealt to me earlier on in life. And if I hadn't gone through the struggles, if I hadn't gone through the health issues, um, and yeah, if I hadn't, had, like the awakenings I had, I wouldn't be who I am. In fact, I sort of think, who would I be? Because I quite like who I am. So,
Right.
and I've always liked who I am. But as I've been studying and learning, I like myself even more, because I sort of think, whew, wasn't aware of that. So now I'm more aware. Now I'm sort of, you know, seeing more of what it is, out there for what it is, and understanding more. And like I say, just seeing all the different perspectives. I'm like you. I'm very open to all these different perspectives. I find it fascinating, listening to them and where they come from, and and that helps me to understand, where a person is at and the life that they've had. Um, as to whether their life has been harsh or bountiful. It's really interesting. But yeah, it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. People fascinate me anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting now with the understanding. I could go back in the past and understand exactly why everything played out the way it did.
Yep.
Because it's like, okay, I met this situation with more negativity. Well, what happened? More negativity came back, and that one hurt. And then
Yep.
so it's like when I gave out more positivity, more positive stuff came back. And
Yep.
that's like true selfishness is not, oh, like it is about me, but it's also about giving so much, because I know if I give a lot, the universal law of receiving
Yeah.
comes into play. And so I have to receive just as much, if not 10 times that, when it comes back. So that's
Yes.
why it's true selfishness to give, knowing that you're receiving,
Yeah.
not selfishness because it's like, oh, this is good for me now, but you don't realize you're being negative, doing some thievery, or giving somebody else a hard time. And that's the karma that comes back to you.
Mm. And not doing things, to see what's in it for you. I think a lot of people get so caught up in that, like, okay, well, if I do this, what's in it for me? If I do this for you, what's in it for me? And what they don't understand is what's in it for you is already taken care of by the universe. And it's not a case of expect that reciprocation back from the person you've just helped. That's not that's nothing to do with you. It's the universe makes that decision to align the energy to return to you from someone that needs to give to you, because there are people out there that need to give so that they can receive. So it's the universe to sort of make that call. I had a friend who was very bitter and complaining about a friend of hers. She had helped her out and taken her meals when she was sick, and yet when my friend was sick, her friend didn't do the same for her, and in fact she didn't hear from her friend. And she said, so you'd think that she would at least have returned the favor. And I said, but it doesn't work like that. The universe will return the good to you in the way that the universe sees that the energy aligns. And I said, so what do you think I'm doing here? I said, I've come here to help you clean your windows because your mum's coming for a visit from Germany. So is this not the return of what you did for somebody else? And she goes, yeah, but so she couldn't see it.
Right.
A lot of people expect that you have to, give back to that same person. They don't understand that, it just floods in from other places. And I've had like amazing experiences of that. It's just been, like mind blowing at times. And especially when, you're in a place where, you sort of think things are pretty bad, and the final straw has happened and you're broken down in tears. And then all these things happen that just sort of, boom, boom, boom. A series of people turn up giving and helping, and it's just incredible.